I had not yet found my internship. So it was a very existential crisis kind of a time when I'm asking myself, well, I'm here now and I've spent this money and I don't have an internship. And I reached out to a farm and they said, please come, we would love to have you. So I went to work on the farm and I made the closest friends of my life ever. And at one point, my leg went into the gutter and it twisted. I took a big fall with all the weight of the backpack and the suitcase and everything. And that was it, man.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I thought it would be really cool to speak to other foreigners who've moved to France and who've built a life here to learn about their challenges, their experiences, their learnings, so that on this channel, we have a perspective that's bigger than my own. Because so far, I've been talking about my own experiences, but I think it's quite important to learn from others as well. So in this video, I'm speaking with my friend Joshua about his experience moving to France for the MIM, all the challenges that he faced here, and how he built a life here. Because he's been living here for 5-6 years now, and I was really curious to learn what his journey was to get here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed chatting with Josh, and enjoy.
So when did you actually move to France?
2016, the month of August.
2016?
16, 6 years.
Why did you actually move to France?
When I was a child, my grandfather would talk to me a lot about the French language and the French people. Didn't know anything about them, never saw a French movie, never heard a French song. But my grandfather would tell me about the pronunciation in French. He said 75% of English vocabulary, the nouns, come from French. And I was like, how important are these people? And it's just been something there. And somehow it just happened. I was very frustrated that my level of French would not improve. I put in a lot of hours into it when I was in India as well. I was just frustrated. I was like, I want to go there, check this off, maybe work there for 6 months, improve my French to really fluent, and then I'm done. It was like this bucket list thing. I was willing to come to France to do anything, but it happens so that I came here to study the MIM course at EDHEC.
What were your biggest learnings since then, like during your MIM particularly? What did you learn the most? How did you feel like you grew the most during the 2 to 3 years that you were in the MIM?
One thing that I have learned for myself, and I try to share this with my friends now and then, is the only person responsible for your happiness as an adult is you. I think I was just not used to so much silence and so much access to know people, and in India, I did not have to strive to hang with people. It just happened. Like my parents had so many friends. I had so many friends. Someone reached out to me. I thought of someone reached out to them. But you go to France and it's like radio silence. There's nobody here. And I came in the month of August. School had not yet started. I broke my leg. So I couldn't go to any of the school events. I was in a wheelchair. Yeah. So I would only go for classes, which started like 2-3 weeks in. There was no Wi-Fi. I did not have a SIM card the first week. And that was just, that could happen actually anywhere. But
yeah, sure.
For me, it happened in France. Radio silence, you looking into the wall, asking yourself, what are you so sad about? What are you angry about?
How did you break your leg?
The first day I came to Lille, I was carrying my luggage. Campus France told me, don't carry more than you can carry. I was like, yeah. And then I carried more than I could carry. They dropped me off at the train of a couple of my friends. And when I got down in Lille, there was so much luggage. There was 3 suitcases, a bag, and another bag, a big backpack, so I dropped all the stuff outside the train and started running towards the taxi because EDHEC told me the taxi will be there. No phone, no SIM card. Yeah. So I started rushing over there with leaving my 1 suitcase behind. So 2 suitcases, backpack and the other bag, running over there. And I wanted to leave it in the taxi and come back for the other suitcase. And I didn't want anyone to pick it out, So when I was running in Lille, there are these little gutters. It's not like a gutter. It's almost flat. Yeah, it's like 2 centimeters in at its deepest. Yeah. And I was wearing new leather shoes and I was just jumping between people. And at one point, my leg went into the gutter and it twisted. I took a big fall with all the weight of the backpack and the suitcase and everything. And that was it, man.
That's how like your France journey started.
That's how it all began.
So it started with breaking your leg and then being in solitude.
Yeah.
And then how did you so what happened next? Like what happened after that? Were you able to like come out of that solitude? Did you end up making friends? What exactly happened next?
For me, the first year was a little rough. For a couple of reasons. I felt extremely lonely and disconnected from human beings. And there were so many human beings around me, I'm not saying it's my fault, their fault, but this is the case. I was extremely lonely. So in the first year. And then the second year and so on, it started changing from there.
I can completely relate, like when you said the first year was really lonely, dude, it was the exact same for me as well. I mean, coming to France, coming from a place where like there's always people everywhere. And then, okay, so in Paris, there's a lot of people everywhere. Okay. But at HEC as well, I guess just like at EDHEC in Lille, it's in the middle of nowhere. HEC particularly, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in this place called Jouy-en-Josas. Nobody at all. And like, I remember the first year I was like, man, like there aren't any people anywhere. Like, what do I do? And I don't know. I also just found it a little hard to like make friends for some reason in
Yeah.
my first year particularly.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. How did that change for you starting second year onwards?
I think I was looking at the wrong places. After the first year, I had not yet found my internship. So it was a very existential crisis kind of a time when I'm asking myself, well, I'm here now and I've spent this money and I don't have an internship. Yeah. So I didn't want to continue paying like 500 and change for rent. So what I did was I was going to this church close to my school. I reached out to some friends and said, can you please keep my big luggage in your cave in your basement for a couple of days, and then I'll be back and collect it later. They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. You can leave it here for years and stuff. So now that I know that my luggage is sorted, I wanted to go somewhere free. And I used to go to this language learning club where this Czech girl was in Lille to learn French. And I was like, how did you make this whole thing happen? How did you pay for it? Where do you live? What do you do to learn French? And she said she works on a farm. She's planted the seed of possibility in me that you can go work on a farm. So she gave me the name of the website she used. I created an account and I reached out to a farm and they said, please come, we would love to have you. So I went to work on the farm and I made the closest friends of my life ever. Here in 2 months, these people are involving me in everything.
That's so cool.
From the time I wake up till the time I sleep, work is together, socializing is together. They even talk about their emotions and stuff. Everything is together. And it's these 4 guys that you hang with. That's it. And they were French. So I had a block in my head saying that French people will just never include me. I think that was just something that subconsciously happened after my first year at business school. But hanging with these guys, I kind of felt, okay, wait, hang on. There's more to just generalizing French people that they won't be your friends, because these guys are French and they're my friends.
Yeah.
So that click helped a lot. Mentally, first of all, I didn't notice this, but I became extremely silent. If anyone knows me, they know that I speak a lot. I put in my 2 cents where I shouldn't be doing it. That's my nature. Yeah. And staying in the farm, the first few weeks in the farm was also very depressing because everyone only spoke French, no English whatsoever. My French was not that great, honestly. Yeah. So until I got into, I can express myself, which happened towards the end of the 2 months, until that point, it was hard in the farm as well. But getting back to I really don't know, man. Self-image completely changed. Because I was saying that I am the undesirable one. I'm the unwanted one. No one wants to be my friend because I'm whatever. Yeah. And they are too cool, too pretty, too good for me. Yeah. And after working on the farm, it kind of felt like, no, I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah. Man, I was going to say that's so crazy because like I had also a very similar experience. It's like, for me, yeah, the first year, as I said, it was very similar. I was quite lonely a lot of the times. I was not in the best place in my first year in France, because of very similar reasons. Like it was hard for me to make friends. It was in the middle of nowhere. The weather also was like really bad. And then I also was struggling to find an internship. And then suddenly I got this internship in Los Angeles. And it's like after spending that half a year in LA, my self-image just completely changed. Because in the beginning, I was like, man, like, what did I do? Why did I leave India to come here? Like, did I make a big mistake? Is my life just going to be as depressing as it is? And then when I was in LA for half a year and I made so many friends, I had such a great time. I was like, okay, actually, I do have a value. Like, I can make friends. Maybe it's just that it was a challenging environment, whether it's because of HEC, whether it's because it was in the middle of nowhere. There could be a variety of reasons, but it's not that I made a mistake.
Yeah, true. Maybe this is true for you, but correct me if I'm wrong. One thing that was very true for me was the deadline on the stay in the farm made it sweeter, because they also know that in 2 months this guy is gone.
Yeah.
So probably they put up with me a little more than people who are going to stay with me for years will do. That probably helped. It was only the honeymoon phase.
Man, that's actually so true, because it was the same for me in LA as well. I knew that I was going to be leaving at a certain date. Everyone who I met, I told them I'm going to be leaving at a certain date. So I guess like that, and also I think the deadline being there also just made me take more risks and just be more open.
How did it change for you, your self-image, apart from the fact that just making friends? What was there anything else for you when you went to LA? Yeah,
dude, yeah, a lot of things. I feel like I just met a lot of inspiring people. I just learned about things that were possible which I didn't even know before. Like my manager in LA, for example, he just opened up a whole new world of possibilities for me. So before then, I think one of the reasons why I was also a bit not that great in my first year was because even though I knew that I wanted to get into marketing, which is something we'll talk about in your video, I guess, but what I was saying is that I knew that I wanted to get into marketing, but I was still unsure whether it was like the right decision for me. And I think what also made it a bit hard for me in the first is like at HEC, I saw all these other people getting into consulting, finance. And I was like, man, like, am I underselling myself? Am I making the wrong decision? And then when I went to LA and then I worked in marketing, I saw these people thriving after working in marketing, like thriving, like doing really well for themselves, doing really impactful work and being really comfortable in their lives, right? And I was like, man, actually, no, this is the right field for me. And then I just became so much more confident after that and sure that, okay, you know what? I see this real life example of somebody who did exactly what I want to do and is thriving at it. And I was like, yeah, you know, this is
for me.
And I think that also just changed things for me because whereas in the beginning I was so unsure about, okay, what I want to do in my career, whether it's the right decision or not. After seeing these people, I was like, oh, you know what? I know for sure this is what I want to do.
That's great, man. It's nice to hear.
By the way, on Josh's channel that I'm going to link down below, we released one more video where I talk about my experience getting into marketing and what my journey was in the field of marketing as a career and what got me here. So you guys might want to check that one out as well. The link is in the description below.
So after you did these 2 internships, you graduated. So you came back to EDHEC for the second year.
Yeah.
You know, and you graduated after that.
Yeah.
What happened next? Like how was your journey after that?
It was difficult, man. Starting off, I think the first job, finding your first permanent job is a big challenge.
Really?
Yeah, at least for me it was, and hanging with my friends and asking them as well, it was the case. Until you have picked, it's like when you have too many options, life is very, very uncertain. But if you kind of single it down that I will compete in this field, in this area, some internship is there, and you unlock your first thing, and you finished 4-5 months in it, and then you kind of see yourself like admiring people in that field. Until then, life is very hard. Once you start admiring the people in that field and say, okay, I want to compete here, invest my time to learn this, then it gets easier. I did a lot of research and I've spoken about that in a couple of videos in my channel because I think people really need to hear this. Knowing yourself, what are you good at, what do you enjoy doing, and which job can fulfill those. Where is the need in the market for those? Once you figure that out, I think life gets much, much easier professionally.
Man, completely agreed. And this is what I was also saying, that this is what happened to me when I moved to LA. You know, like it's so challenging when there are so many options and you don't know which is the right one. You don't know where you're going. Like it's just complicated, right?
Yeah.
But then once you figure out that, okay, no, I'm good at this. I want to do this. I see people in this field that I admire. And then you're like, okay, that's it. Let's go in that direction.
Let's go there. Yeah.
So you were saying that it was hard for you to find your first job because you didn't know exactly what you wanted to do and that's why you were kind of stuck. How did you figure that out?
I made a list of what I did enjoy doing during the week, wrote them down, and another list of what I did not want to do during the week. I don't want to be forced to do these things during the week. Yeah. And then when I would look at a job description, then I would try to ask people in that field, does this mean this? Just a translation problem. Yeah. So I would just ask them, what do you do on a daily basis? Then they say whatever. Yeah. And then I would say, well, the job description has all of this stuff. Does it mean that I'll get to do these things? And once I realized that we are speaking about the same thing, then it was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. I didn't know from the back of my hat that I'll be working with data or business intelligence. I knew that I love software. I love tech. So you make a list of all the high hiring jobs in tech, yeah, and see which one I can do. Just read the top 3 job descriptions, yeah, and ask someone who likes that job, not someone who's complaining, but ask someone who likes that job. What does it mean to be a successful product manager at a BI company? Yeah, what does it take to be a BI manager, business intelligence manager? What do you do? Which are your problems? Yeah. Once I saw all those things, I was like, yeah, okay, I can't do that right now, but I'd like to do that. You know, and then it's like, okay, cool. This is now our new passion. This is our new goal and we'll work on it.
So it's pretty much as if like you started the whole soul searching process of your career right after you graduated.
It happened during the time, yeah.
So during your second year particularly throughout?
First year a lot, because first year I was so free, man. Because there was this deadline to find an internship, right?
Yeah.
And 10 months in, you should have an internship. So when you come in, you already have that stress. I need an internship. Yeah. So I was also the internships that I did was in line with this. So there was some thought into it in the first year itself. During the internship, speaking with people, during the last year of school, speaking to more people, the clarity kind of crystallized over these 3 years. Yeah.
Right. I see. And then you ended up with your first job.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah. I started September 2019. That's what I wanted to do. It took me a hot second, but around end of July, early August, I signed my contract. And then I realized that, okay, this is decently paid. I can pay back my debt with this in no time. Yeah, that's when it kind of started getting much clearer for me and much easier.
And that's when did you feel like your life in France and your outlook on life in France, it changed after that point?
Not after that point. I think after the first year. The first year was hard. I stayed in a house sharing in Paris. I was trying to spend as little as possible. I would spend 500 on the rent and another 300, 350, maybe 400, everything else combined. And the rest of the income, I would just send it to India, to my debt, to State Bank of India.
So this was like first year after you started your job.
Permanent job, correct. So I was really living a very careful, very judicious life in the first year, and also work was hard. Work was very, very hard. What they were asking me to do, I was already in the client side 1 month in. What they were asking me to do, I didn't understand it. Yeah, I know what they expect of me to, then I know the result, but I don't know how to do it. So I would have to go back to my company and ask them for trainings, and I would need to Google on my own. There was no spoon feeding there. So the first 6 months, I think, was very, very hard. After a year, I kind of started understanding the ropes. So I think that luck factor is so valuable when someone lets you in the door and lets you compete. It's so valuable because I can be honest about this and I'm not ashamed of it. I was not that competent. Yeah, they probably had other skills that they saw in me that they wanted. Maybe the language, interpersonal skills, can-do attitude, positivity, that helped them in the team spirit. But technically speaking, I was not it. This was not it, chief. So after 1 year, I started understanding the ropes of the game, started enjoying the game. Then life became much easier, much, much easier.
Right. And just to be clear, you were working in a consulting company.
Yeah.
Before.
Tech consulting company.
Tech consulting. Got it. And what about like life in France overall? Like on the social front and on the language front, how did that change for you?
Yeah, I think this farm thing, man, that was the tipping point.
Yeah.
After that, I made these friends who were so close to me on the farm. For my birthday, everyone put money together and we went to Club Med. It's like this country resort kind of thing. Club Mahindra types. Yeah. When it was the wedding of someone from the farm, they invited me, and it was a small committee of people with only the closest friends, and I'm one of them. Christmas, I just reach out to them and say, I'm not spending money to go to India this year. Can I come hang with you guys? It just felt like I belong now. I have these friends, I can call them mine. And when I had problem, I had a problem, I would ask them. And when they could help me, they would, So I think, the tipping point over there was the farm thing. And then it was easier to make friends in the city.
Got it.
In Paris and Lille.
Got it. And how do you feel now? Like, what's your social life like right now? What do you like? Yeah, what does your life look like at the moment?
I've become very much more selective. In the beginning, I will take anything. Anyone wants to have coffee, let's go. I don't even care who it is, because that was how rock bottom I was. A cheap coffee though. I don't have a lot of money. But now I think I've become a little more selective. Spending time with some of these friends, I realize who take energy out of my life, out of my day. When do I come drained more than, because some people love to complain, that's not my style. Yeah. So I've become a little more selective in choosing whom I hang with.
Right.
Also very straightforward, telling people that I don't like this man. I don't like this part. Or it's very confronting to say that, or even calling them on their bullshit. I think now I say it more. Earlier I would just be like, chalta hai chodwa. It's fine, leave it, but now that has changed.
Gotcha. I see. Yeah, I feel like that also comes along with, like, I think anytime when you're in like a new social sphere, in a new city, new country, you just want to say yes to everything, open yourself up to everything.
Yes, man.
And now you're at a point where like you're a lot more established in your life and you're like, okay, now I take back control into what I'm doing. Cool. Man, so the next question I had for you is like, let's talk about France, your relationship with France overall. Now, do you like living in France?
I love living in France. This is the best place, dude.
Really? Why do you like living in France?
What's not to like? It's perfect, man. It's such a beautiful country. Not just Paris, yeah. I've lived in a couple of other places. It's a beautiful country. There is such a rich heritage over here. That's true anywhere, in fact. Everyone has a rich heritage. But it's true in France too, and that helps. That definitely helps. I kind of feel that I started from a blank slate and made a couple of friends over here. And it's this new world I've discovered. And when I go to my Google Photos and there's this map view and it shows you the hotspots of where you've taken pictures. And I just like the fact that there are so many stories in all these places. I take a photo all the time. Yeah. So this kind of just makes me feel this is nice. It's accessible to, I love Germany too. I'd love to go there for a bit. But accessibility from France to Germany is just so rapid. You can hop on a bus, on a train, and get there in no time. So all of these benefits, you also earn well for a beginner. In India, you would not make this money, at least for my level of intellect.
Sure.
Unless you're from an IIT or IIM, one of those guys, then you'll make good money. But for someone who cleared my exams with my numbers, you can't make this money in India.
Sure. If you could say like your top 3 favorite things about living in France, not just France specifically, but like living in France, what would they be?
What I cursed before, so the free time I cursed before, I love that. I have my evenings to myself, my weekends to myself, very good work-life balance. I get home in the evening. The first year was difficult, but then on, not so late, maybe exceptionally, but otherwise not so late. By 7 p.m., I'm home most days, you know.
Right.
I don't want to be the CEO tomorrow. I'm fine. Yeah. The weekends, no one ever contacts me from work. It's fine, you know. So that's definitely on top of the list, work-life balance. I don't know if this is, yeah, it has changed my self-identity, the fact that I afford enough for myself. Before I did that, it was like my decisions on almost everything would be dependent on so many other things because my parents are paying for me, but the school knows what I should be doing. So my parents are like, listen to the school, you know, this whole thing. But then once I started affording enough for myself and then some, then I kind of feel like, okay, I can now browse which areas I want to work in. So I think that's second. In fact, this could be true in any European country.
True. I mean, it could be true in any country depending on what career you choose as well, right?
Yeah. But for me, it happened in France, so I love it here.
And what would be the third thing?
I dare say food because I love Indian food so much more than French food. No, I don't know, man. It's probably the cheese. I don't know what it is. I don't think there's a third reason to. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think there's a third thing. This two is already. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then that brings me to the second part of the question, which is like, what are your least favorite things about living in France specifically?
People can be a little critical. It's their nature when it comes from their heritage. And when they are raised with this, for them it's normal. So they can be a little critical. Coming from a place of not using negative words but still being critical, I kind of feel there are a lot of words to say something that is negative. You know, this is something that you need to learn to... Yeah, they never straightly say that I like it or I hate it. At work, sometimes it can happen, but in social settings, maybe it does not happen. So that's not nice.
And how have you dealt with that?
You know, be a Roman in Rome, you should... if someone is always complaining all the time, then their energy is just complaining. Yeah. Then they're using this as an opportunity to just complain. Those people you have to cut out. But even with all the critical complaining culture around France, there are still people who are grateful. If you kind of start a grateful conversation, they're like, oh yeah, no. You should hear some French people say this when they say, we don't estimate the value of living in France. They say it because these are the French people who travel out of the country and then they come back and they see like, oh damn, this place is beautiful. Those people I won't let go of because that's me. I relate so much with that. So I think I'm making everything positive here. But yeah, people can be critical, can use no negative words to send a negative message. So you don't get it at first, even if you understand the words. That's something. Paperwork takes forever, man. I just hate that. Any paperwork, if it's French, it'll take forever.
I know, dude. I've been through that all too much. Like, it's just, I feel like when it comes to paperwork and admin stuff, personally, I feel like I got a little bit lucky because I don't remember having any major annoyances about this. I got my carte vitale pretty easily. I got my CAF. CAF in my first year was a bit annoying. I got my bank account, apartment, all that stuff.
Taxes, all of that was peaceful?
Yeah, it was more or less peaceful for me, but I feel like I got lucky.
You got lucky, man. I'm telling you, more so than not, people get stuck with this.
Yeah, I know. All right. What do you feel about French people otherwise? Like, does your social circle involve a lot of French people right now? Is it more expats? What does it look like?
A lot of expats, but there are also a lot of French people. Yeah, I think it's a good balance between the two.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Indians that I know who live over here. So expats, Americans, Dutch people, Germans, Norwegians, these kind of people who are in Paris. But a lot of French people too, at work, for example, and also some social friends that I know from 4-5 years now. These guys are here.
And what's your advice on making friends with French people?
I really think that you should find something that you enjoy doing and then find people who do that anyway. Then they are not tolerating you. they're enjoying doing that with you. Because otherwise, the least critical thing that someone gives you, you kind of feel that you're the worst guy that nobody can ever love, you know. So for example, I take Vikram's example on this every single time. I really admire how he has stuck to the fact that he loves cars, and he goes on this weekly car meets in Paris, and he hangs with French people who will do that even if Vikram's not there. And now that he's there, they just become friends, and then they go on car trips and so on. You should find your little stuff that you like to do by yourself.
Right. Basically making friends through shared activities.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I never really thought about it that way, but it makes so much sense for you to do that.
Maybe I could just add this little piece. If you don't know what is your thing, so you can start investing your energy and your time into health. So fitness, cooking good food and getting fit. Do that whenever, if you're 16, 18, 25, it's never a bad time. So you do that, and there are many people who want to do that, you know. So that's like a cheat card to make friends.
And since you've had like a bunch of French friends so far as well, and even otherwise, like what's your favorite thing about French people?
I think they are open to say anything. Like, for example, if you're talking politics, and this is something a big no-no at work, but with French friends, you can tell them anything. Maybe this is just Parisian, huh? And then they don't judge you for what you said. So if you have an opinion, your everyday with them is not judged based on what you said about that opinion. And they are very rational about it.
They're very open to debating and hearing both points of view, basically.
Not just to win also.
Yeah.
Debating really to dig in and hear more and to value your perspective. And then they can forget that you had that conversation and go back to being friends and having dinner together every other week.
Sure.
I don't have friends who agree with everything I say. So here I kind of feel that, oh, this guy and I disagree on that, but it's fine.
Yeah.
In that sense, I feel they're pluralistic.
I see. Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense as well. I mean, I heard this somewhere. It's like that's also the reason why there are so many strikes in France. It's because it's part of the culture in France. I think, one of my French friends only told me this. It's part of the culture in France to like really hear everyone's point of view and, debate in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why the government is not super opposed to strikes, because they consider that a part of life and the part of like normal French way of living.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that everyone's point of view is kind of heard.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, it's like double-edged sword, or like two sides to the same coin rather, where it's like, sure, there's there's negative parts of it, but there are also very strong positive parts of it.
True.
As well.
I feel you.
So it's like the same way that French people, you can say they're very critical, but it's the same way that they're also open to hearing you being critical.
Towards them, 100%.
Right?
100%. Very well put.
So I think this, for me personally, that would be my biggest learning here is like, in France, there's always two sides to the same coin. The same things you hate about it are the same things you will love about
100%.
it. Just from different perspectives.
Yeah.
All right, man. On a bit of a lighter note, what's your favorite food in France?
French food in France?
Yeah, any kind of just food in France. What?
Couscous is brilliant. It's this North African dish, and it's very widely available in France. I love that stuff. And it's on par with cheese. I love French cheese, and there's so much variety over here.
What's your favorite cheese?
I can't put a finger on them, man.
What's the number one cheese that you could have if you were to die tomorrow? What cheese would you have?
I just go home, and because it's already at home, there's this because there's this one easy, no nonsense cheese called Bria Savarin.
Okay.
It's a little creamy cheese, but it goes before food, during food, after. It goes anywhere.
Okay, cool.
I love that guy. Saint-Marcelin, I love that guy.
Cool.
Comté is good. Yeah, I would probably pick all these three and go home and have all.
All right. And what is your favorite thing to do on the weekend in France?
I like to work on my projects. I make videos. I learn language. I do calligraphy. I like to clean my house. I love to cook and invite people over. So these kind of things, if it didn't happen, then for me it was a waste.
Gotcha.
I also lately started working out, so I also work out on the weekend.
That is awesome. What do you like to do in the city of Paris, or just in the country generally?
There is this one French word called flâner. I find it difficult to practice it, but I'm slowly learning to do it.
What does it mean?
Flâner means to do something without an objective, to be in inaction, in unaction, être ton inaction. It's just like, for example, if you're flâner at a cafe, you would not have a screen. And this in France you can do. No one will think that you're a lunatic or something. Not have a phone, not have a book, just order a coffee and sit there for 40 minutes. I
love doing that.
I love doing that now. I try to do that more because with work and stuff, there's always something to do on my to-do list. So I fail to find the time to do that. But when the sun is out in the winter time, I just tell myself it's time to flâner, shut the phone, leave the computer behind. Don't carry a backpack with 5 things for productivity. Just step out. And the next, I open up my phone sometimes before leaving home, and I look at a metro station I've never been to, and with my metro card, I go there, sit there, have a coffee, and just for 45 minutes, just sit down and think about life, look at people moving.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like, yeah, I love doing that. And that's one of the things I like here in Paris is like, I think Paris is one of the cities, or like France, I don't know if it's a France thing or a Paris thing, but like, it's not weird or awkward to be alone outside.
No,
like you see people being alone by themselves at cafes, restaurants,
Lunch
bars,
and dinners, dude.
Lunches, dinners, everywhere.
Unbelievable, right?
It's totally normal. And I personally love doing things by myself. And I think that's also one difference that I've seen is like between cities like Los Angeles, New York, London, and Paris. It's like Paris is one of the few global cities where there are so many studio apartments where people live alone.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Whereas in all these other cities, you're always expected
2
to
or 3.
have roommates if you want to save money, or like have like a big full-size apartment for yourself. But like as a student, you usually don't live alone in those other cities. Whereas in Paris, so many students, so many people just live alone, and that's totally normal.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. And last question for you is like, what advice would you have to people who want to move to France?
Do it. Yeah, but advice in the sense of, you kind of feel, or everyone feels this, everyone feels that they are good at nothing, because it takes so much to succeed in another country. It's like, I don't have career, a job that I already fit in. Perhaps this is something that someone struggles with. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough charisma. I don't have a hobby that I'll do for 5 years. I start stuff and never stop them. Everyone feels this way. So I think it's easy to come to a country and feel that you're that black-eyed sheep, that black sheep, which is just doesn't fit anywhere. And I think, just realizing that everyone feels that way is a good piece of advice, saying that it's not you. This is a radical change. It's supposed to be uncomfortable, but invest time in stuff that you enjoy. I think we don't ask ourselves enough, because speaking to some of the junior students as well, I realized when they ask which is the best paid, which is the highest demand, and they don't spend time about, wait, hang on, bro, what do you want to do? Why did you pick this field? Yeah, what was your rationale behind that? I think if you did that, then if you find a job that you love and you'll never work another day, there's a shred of truth to that. Work is always work, but you'd rather be doing stuff that you like to do, that you'll be proud of at the end of it.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks a lot, Josh. I really appreciate it. This
Happy
was
to
a
be here,
fun
man.
conversation.
Thanks for having me.
That was it for this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. You should also go check out Joshua's channel, because he also makes videos about life in France, and he gives MIM advice as well, because he studied at EDHEC and he's got his own perspective to share. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Helps me out a lot. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button, and see you guys in the next one. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but I got a new camera. The image should look a little bit different. Let me know in the comments if you've seen the video this far, and comment below what you think of this new video quality. See you guys.